June Kelly reporting with me now is Peter Saunders from NAPAC, that's the National Association for People Abused in Childhood. Peter, good evening.
Good evening, Julian.
When you heard 8 years today, what did you think?
I was slightly encouraged. The misery caused by these kinds of crimes, and as you know at NAPAC, we hear from victims every single day who are often suffering years, even decades later, from what was done to them. So 8 years can never make up for that suffering, but I think it is a step in the right direction. I think the police are pleased with the result, and most importantly, I think that there is some element of enabling his victims to hopefully see that justice has been done in some way, and hopefully they can move on with their lives. They are my main concern.
So when you describe yourself as slightly encouraged, it's because what, it's more than you were expecting?
Well, to be honest, it was. These crimes often receive very lenient sentences. The victims live with the consequences for the rest of their lives. As I say, there will be people watching the programme now, Julian, who will still be suffering as a result of what happened to them a long time ago. But he could have received a less severe sentence, and I suspect that had he not postured and boasted and behaved in the way that he did, which was his way, then there may have been an element of leniency. But given his denials and his outrageous denunciation of his victims and his accusations, I'm encouraged that the judge did the right thing today.
Is it right that some of his victims called your organisation at some point?
Yes, they have indeed, and I think because there's a possibility of further legal action, it would probably be inappropriate to say too much about that, Julian, but most certainly that's what NAPAC exists for. We have a free phone helpline for adults that have suffered this kind of crime, and we're very busy.
What about the signal sent out here by the size of the sentence, not just to the perpetrators of crimes like this, but the signal sent to those who have currently been victims but have said nothing about it?
Yes, and indeed most victims of this kind of abuse, this kind of crime, do not speak out. And we would never say you must speak out, because it's a very painful thing to go through, and the humiliation, and think about those women and the way in which they were castigated in court by the defence team, which of course is them doing their job. But to expose themselves in that way takes huge courage and bravery, in my opinion. But I do hope that this sentence, which is a serious sentence, does send out a message to abusers and to victims that they shouldn't be afraid to come forward, because the police, the authorities, will give them a fair hearing. And I think that's where the world has changed in the last couple of years, Julian, is that this crime now, it's acknowledged the prevalence of it, and victims, people, those able to do so, are coming forward, and that's the best way to protect our children in the future, is to speak out now.
Peter, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank
Peter
you,
Saunders
Julian.
from the National Association for People Abused in Childhood. And we'll find out if this is one of the stories covered on tomorrow's front pages. That's at 10:30.